Hi all, we are Gaudrė and Ignas from Bluma, a nature-based design agency in Lithuania. We've been working on different projects, including developing some tools for municipalities, some experimental things, renovation and so on, sustainability indexes in Lithuania. Basically, we're people from architecture and urbanism and anthropological background who got together and decided that it's time to push forward the subject of green infrastructure and nature-based solutions in Lithuania. And in a little bit less than 4 years that we've been operating, I think one of the biggest challenges has been changing the attitudes of decision makers in municipalities about what the greenery should look like. I guess we all know that our current cities are functioning under increasing pressures. Urbanization makes them more sensitive to all the climate change effects like heat island effects, floods, pollution, and so on and so on. And when we think about urban spaces, streets, pavings, we should think little. And when we think about the greenery, we should think big, effective, and multifunctional. And starting from the strategic level of planning this multifunctional and effective green infrastructure, we had the chance to contribute to the development of the idea of green infrastructure demand mapping and greening plans in Lithuania. One of them being Klaipėda's greening plan. We actually worked on a total of 5 greening plans and green infrastructure demand mapping projects now. And the greening plan starts with layering different data layers about environmental issues, social issues, spatial issues, and that way we actually identify which are these red zones in the city where investment for green infrastructure should be directed towards first. And then in the actual greening plan, we identify the areas, specific areas which municipalities should address first, one after another. And then zooming in to more spatial scale, we, in Klaipėda's case, identified 6 different green space typologies. And the idea was that they are not based on these typical urban typologies, but more on what level of greenery you are trying to achieve. Because we believe that in any space, if you choose to, if you want to, you can make nature oasis. So in Klaipėda's greening plan, each of these green space groups had typical recommendations, some schematic designs, and then together with the community, we also detailed 3 locations which are supposed to serve as these examples of how previously underused spaces dominated by cars can be turned into these hubs of really ecologically effective green space. And then last but not least, in the greening plan, we created this plant selection table, which is based most of all on ecological value, functionality, and resilience. And not a single ornamental plant was included because we don't want the high maintenance cost, high planting cost be used as arguments against creating green spaces in cities. So basically, what we're trying to say, we need to create cities, green spaces, whatever the cost, whatever. And just another quick example of another greening plan we did in Mažeikiai. So again, we went through the same process of layering data, resident survey, identifying locations, picking specific locations as examples, how greenery should be, green spaces should be developed, and some nice images.
Okay, so going to the next point, which is that sometimes the natural solutions can be very simple, cost-effective, and it can have a great impact. And we're going to a much smaller, even I could say tiny scale. This is a project that we did actually the first probably as a company, where we were invited by the just to create something with the community in Kaunas, in Soviet era housing district, to make it together with the community. And the idea was very simple, to create some community in some small architecture and biodiversity elements. So we did this biodiversity labyrinth, and the main idea was to make everything together with the community. So the children participated in some of the designs. The community have planted together all that labyrinth. Some elements were trying to, like this bug hotel, tried to resemble some of the architecture in the neighborhood. And just some educational elements about biodiversity also created with the community. So it became kind of a focal point, which later actually turned out into a feasibility study for the wider area of that neighborhood, when we went to do some sensory mapping to find out what's important for the community in this whole area. Did some workshops to find out what are the wanted elements of infrastructure, and this became a vision for the community to use when they speak with the municipality, what they want for this whole area. So, and just prove that the senior and young population of the neighborhood would want an amazing public space that could be extended. So. Talking about the young population, coming to the third point of our that we wanted to say is that we should foster young people's interest in city planning and nature, because when the city is comfortable for children, I guess then it's comfortable for everyone. So what we did as one of the projects, we collaborated with teachers in schools to create an educational program about sustainable future cities. So this was this had like lesson plans and materials for teachers to use in their lectures for free. We did this huge research on what is needed for children, and basically the lessons included some card games for city planning, some sensory activities for children to experience nature, and then modeling natural playgrounds. And on this topic, well, what is a natural playground? Just last month we released a magazine exploring this topic, because we were quite stressed and tired of seeing these similar playgrounds all around Lithuania from plastic, prefabricated, boring. So we explored this topic of nature playscapes, which is obviously, maybe some of you know, that it usually has some elements of nature and its environment that encourages imagination for children. So we kind of came up with these 10 rules, which I don't probably have time to read all of them, but it's just that it creates connection with seasonal rhythms, and it allows children to get really just dirty and get engaged physically. So we try to use these rules in one of the recent projects in one of the schools, which had a sort of empty area. So we developed this design where children could observe, play with nature. It was inspired also by the environment, which was this river loops. There were features like rainwater harvesting towers, raised beds, and different natural play elements. And we also designed it with children, made some, for example, the raised beds, made them together with the children, and it kind of gave this idea for them of ownership as well. So it's being implemented as we speak, so hopefully next year we can share how it all went if you follow us. Thanks.